Hi, this is Tammy Neal, live from Branford High School for Tech Time Tuesday. Today we're going to be talking about Google Forms and how we can use. Today we're going to be talking about building Google Forms. We're going to start with some basics. This time next week we'll be together to look at some more some design functions and some add-ons and taking it to the next level. So today we're really just about how do we build a basic Google form. So at this point, I'm going to screen share and we'll get started. So just bear with me for just a second. Okay, so here we are. I've already logged into my Google Drive and I've created a folder for this particular episode. So all I need to do to start creating a form is to click New, and we'll go down to More, and we'll go over to Google Forms. Let me show you that again. New to More to Google Forms. And this is going to open up a brand new Google document called Untitled Form. The very first thing we want to do is name our form. This name can be anything that you need it to be. It can be as long or as short as you need it to be. But remember, the longer the form, the more that you're going to need to use later on. So we're going to call this Test Sample Form 1. Now, notice that this requires Suwannee County Schools to log in to view this form. This allows it to stay within the district and that you're not taking it outside the district. So notice that when I clicked off of the form name, it automatically, up here in the top, it automatically renamed my form. If this is a form that I'm needing to use frequently or I'm needing to come back to it for some reason, I can put it in the starred portion of my drive. It will also let me move it to a specific folder. So these are common things that are available for every Google document. I can choose to automatically collect the respondent Suwannee County Schools username. So this is that portion before the this portion right here. So remember, for students, that's a name that's very hidden. It doesn't have anything to do with their student numbers or anything like that. So that may or may not help you. But I find that sometimes it might be that one thing, so that if the student is filling out his or her form on someone else's account, if you have these two, then you will know whose account they're filling that form out on. Show progress bar at the bottom of the form page. Ever seen a survey that said you had 7 of 10 to go or 9 of 15 or whatever? That's what this is. This is the progress bar. So if you wish to have a progress bar at the bottom of your form page, all you need to do is check that. If you want to only allow one response per person, this requires the login. If you want to only allow one response per person, you may check there. If the question order doesn't matter to you, you can check there. Now this will shuffle all of the questions, including the question that says name. So there's no way at this point to shuffle just specific numbers of questions. All the questions will get shuffled. So we've got our form number, our form title already. And here we're going to give a form description. Again, this can be as long or as short as you need it to be. It can be paragraph format. It can include links to other things if you need it to. But for the most part, this is basically a thank you for filling out the form, and this form is used for, this is a sample form being created for Tech Time Tuesday, episode 6, about Google Forms. Now, that being said, the title is required, the form description is not. So you then have options on the types of questions. Text, paragraph text, which is a longer response. Multiple choice, checkboxes, which allows for more than one response. choose from a pre-populated list, a scale from 1 to 10 or 0 to 10, a grid response, which we'll get into a little bit of that next week because that's more of an advanced feature, the date, and time. So we're going to start off with a text box, and the general first question is name. Help text, I can type in anything I need to type in there. Please type your first and last names. I can make this a required question by clicking right there, which means everybody will have to put in their name in order to go to the next page. Advanced settings allows for me to look for a specific type of text. If I'm looking for something that matches a specific type, then I can choose that. And it allows me to create a custom error text if I'm using data validation. All that is saying if you wanted to put in a phone number, but you wanted it to make sure that there was the area code inside parentheses, you could use data validation to make sure that everybody filled out their form the same exact way. Okay, so with that, we're going to call this done. And we have one question. We can go back and edit, we can duplicate, or we can throw it in the trash. Well, I'm going to add another question, and this time I'm going to make it a checkbox. Which of the following are your, is your favorite flavor? Now, notice I put the question there, which is perfectly acceptable, but we will see why we may not necessarily want to do that later on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut and paste. I'm going to copy that there, and I'm going to call this question 1. When we go to do our responses, when we go to view our responses in a little bit, you will see that having a short question title may come in handy in the long run if you're answering, if you're having someone answer a lot of questions. So check boxes, check all that apply. Chocolate. I could spell right today. Vanilla. Notice that I can add an other, and somebody can choose their own question. I can choose to make this a required question or not, and I am going to make this one a required question. So there's my second question. The one thing that Google Form does not allow us to do is columns, so that you cannot put a question over here in this blank space. So this is the space for question 1. Very linear in design. I'm going to add one more. Tell you what, let's add in an image. I'm going to choose an image to upload, and let's see. I'm going to come down here to my acceptable images folder that I use for my students, and we're going to insert the Buccaneer logo. Oh, this one is too large. I need to choose a smaller image. Let's see. Let's choose, see if the turtle dove will work. Yep, it will. So I can center this image. I can have, this could be an image of a dove. It could be an image of a map. It could be an image of a question even. If you had an image of any kind, as long as it's within the proper size, you can insert that image. I'm going to add a choose from the list. And I'm going to call this question 2. What type of bird is this? Notice that it allows me to go to a page based on an answer. And I can make this a required question as well. So if I wanted to go to a specific page, I could click this, and depending on which question, it could lead me to a page that had information about the specific answer, or link me back to somewhere else. And we'll look at some of these types of forms later in our advanced techniques class. Okay, so we're going to make this a very short form. So we have our name, we have question 1, we have question 2. Notice that we have our checkbox. And when I clicked on it, I can have, when I click on my image, I can title my image. I can do hover text, which means that when I hover over the image, I can actually set it up to say the same thing that my question does, so that when I hover over it, you'll notice I get the what type of bird is this. Okay, so if I am all done with my questions, I then need to look at my confirmation page. This allows me, the confirmation page is another text-based place for me to give information. I can provide links to other pages. I can change the pre-recorded message here. I can say, thank you for participating today. If I want to show a link for someone else to respond, I can. Do I want to publish and show the public link to form results? Typically, I don't want to publish the form results. Especially if this is a quiz or something that I'm doing in my classroom, those results I may want to keep private to keep data from becoming part of somebody else's file. Allow responders to edit responses after submitting. So if I do this, there'll be a link to come back in and change my answers. I may or may not want to let that happen, and that is completely within my rights. So we have our form completed. I want to take just a minute and talk about responses. Responses come in, and it is automatically set at accepting responses. I can turn this off. Okay? This form has been turned off. So if I only want to allow this form to be usable at certain times of the day or certain days of the week, I can come in and very easily turn that on and off. Okay? I can view summary of responses. Well, I don't have any responses right now, and so it shows there are no responses right now. I can change the response destination. I can change this to a different spreadsheet. I can change it to a new sheet in an existing spreadsheet. I can tell it to always create a new spreadsheet when I create a new document. So it's creating the responses. I can unlink the form from a specific spreadsheet if I want to. So if I'm taking this up and I wanted to link it for every single class period, but each class period be different, I can do that. We'll talk about getting a pre-filled URL in future episodes. And I can clear all the responses that have been given to me thus far. Okay, so let's go here and view responses for just a minute. Notice that it brings up a spreadsheet. Nobody has filled out the form yet, so there are no responses. But this is where, right here, question 1 and question 2, where in the form itself, we had longer questions. Had we put the questions here, then our responses would have been longer, our columns would have been wider. And so you might would have had a form that you might not have been able to have seen all of your responses and would have had to scroll to see your responses. So this is why I suggest that you keep your questions in your forms. Keep the questions very short. We'll put the actual question in the help portion. Okay? So we're ready to send this form. When we send the form, we get a link. We can even shorten that link to where it is much shorter and also very weird, but easier to cut and paste and all of that lovely stuff. So I'm going to come over here to a new window, new tab, and I'm going to put that form in there so that we can see what it looks like. There's our sample form. And if we entered in information, I like chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, and other. I like Rocky Road as well. What type of bird is this? This is a dove, and I'm going to submit my response. Your response has been recorded. Thank you for participating today. I can now come in here, and here is immediately when I submitted my response. Notice that I now have chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, and Rocky Road, which is the thing that I added into the response. I can view live form from there to see what it looks like. So that's basics on how to create a Google form. I encourage you to play around with it, test it out, create a sample here or there. You can go crazy and have tons and tons and tons of questions on a single page, or you can go in and create a page break. Really, it's just I want to encourage you to enjoy, have fun with it. And in the future, we will be talking about how to spruce it up a little bit, how to change some of the design elements, how to make it very customized and very personal to the user. We will also be talking about in the future some add-ons that will make some things about the form even more user-friendly for the person who's requesting the information. So I am Tammy Neal, and this is Tech Time Tuesday. Please, by all means, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to let me know. I'm always here to help and always willing to lend a hand. So everybody have a great day. See you later.